Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor to welcome you to a personal interview on the Paul Leslie Hour, episode number 1071. Today we're joined by the distinguished 62nd mayor of the vibrant and historic city of Charleston, South Carolina. His Honor, the Mayor, William Scott Cogswell, Jr.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I should properly introduce our guest today, William S. Cogswell, Jr., a native of the Holy City and the 62nd mayor of Charleston, South Carolina, a city like no other, and a historical mayor, I might add, the first Republican mayor since 1877. Fascinating to me. Thank you so much for making time to talk to me.
Sure, glad to do it.
So it is, as I said, a historical moment, your election, the first Republican mayor since Reconstruction. Why do you think that this change happened in Charleston?
Well, let me start by saying, actually, City of Charleston doesn't have partisan elections for local government, which is as it should be. So I didn't really run as a member of either party, though it has been often reported and will probably be on my tombstone that I'm the first Republican mayor, blah, 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 since 1877. But I was a Republican in the state house when I served in the legislature. But as I say, really ran as William Cogswell for mayor. And in terms of why people looked to vote for me, I can't say for certain. I think that there's been a lot of growth challenges that have faced Charleston and the Lowcountry region. And people want somebody that I think can be very proactive about addressing those growing pains.
Well, as I said, you were born here, and it is a place with lots to love. What do you love about Charleston?
Charleston is a very special and unique place. You can go anywhere really in the world, but certainly within the United States, and tell people that you're from Charleston, and 9 out of 10 eyes light up and people say, "Oh, I love it there." And it's just a special place, and it has a sense of civic pride that I think is unparalleled. And that's something special to be part of. And when you're talking about being a mayor, it's a great constituency to have, people that are willing to lean in, people that are willing to give back to their community, that care deeply about their community. And it's something that really transcends socioeconomic backgrounds. Even though I'm born and raised here, it's something that is not just unique to people that grew up here whose families have been here for generations. I mean, as I tell people, it doesn't matter if you've been here for 10 months or 10 generations. There's a love of place that is very real in this city.
So you would say there's a commonality amongst people who live in Charleston, all of them?
Yeah, look, there's a sense of pride, a civic pride. I mean, we live in a very beautiful and special place. And I think some of the angst and concern, legitimate angst and concern, is that we want to make sure what we know and love about our community remains. And so there are a lot of pressures. But the one thing I'll say about the city is we have, ever since our inception, and not to get too deep into the history of the city of Charleston, but we've been a place that welcomes people. We've been a place that has evolved in organic ways that, have created this incredible built and natural environment and social environment that is so unique and so renowned. So you want to make sure you don't screw that up, if you will, but still, you can't stop the clock. Time moves forward. If you're not growing, you're dying. And what I want to make sure of is that, we are looking not just for the next 5 years, but we're looking really for the next 100 years. I think that's the responsibilities that local elected officials have.
Well, I watched your State of the City address, and really a great speech, a unifying kind of speech. It's been a year since you've been in office. From here, what are you looking to accomplish in the near future?
We have a list of about 240 initiatives that are ongoing, and that's everything from, digging out drainage ditches in people's backyards in West Ashley to massive infrastructure projects related to flooding on the peninsula. So, to tourism management plans, to affordable housing initiatives, so that not Section 8, but people that have lived here their whole lives aren't priced out of the community that they've really helped create. So lots going on, which is exciting and makes my job very rewarding. And the great news is, in terms of, you pointed out the unifying message. And as I alluded to earlier with regards to the election, these are not partisan issues. These are not hyper political issues. A lot of them are pretty common sense, but there's been, like with any government entity, there's some difficulties and some complexities relating to the process and structure that sometimes we get in our own way. So working on figuring out ways to expedite what are really popular initiatives that would be hard to have a lot of argument on. I mean, there are plenty of things we can argue about. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I choose to focus on the things that are perhaps less controversial, but have more of an impact on people's day-to-day lives.
Well, one thing that everybody does talk about in Charleston, whether you're bumping into somebody or you're at the dog park, everybody talks about growth. It is a place, lots of people come here. Do you think it's more than the city can handle?
No, I don't. I think we can handle it. We've not done a great job on it over bottom line is the public sector in general, not just the city, but, the county, the state, even the federal government certainly are well behind the private sector when it comes to infrastructure in particular. And so we've got some catching up to do. We need to be very transparent and honest with our residents about, where things stand. And we need to be very thoughtful about how we approach, again, not just the next 5 years, but the next 100 years. And there's some really simple solutions to help address growth. Some are more complicated, but there are things that can be done, from, adding a lane here to doing certain zoning there that will make a huge difference in the livability of our city moving forward.
Hey, here it is in the middle of this episode, the Paul Leslie Hour. We're going to take just a quick moment to ask a favor. Won't you subscribe to Paul's YouTube channel? I'm sure if you do, you will be one happy person. And above all else, following Paul on X, formerly known as Twitter, at the Paul Leslie. And remember to say hi to Paul. Now, back to the show.
The governor of South Carolina, Henry McMaster, also a historical figure for a few reasons. What do you think of the job he's doing?
I really respect Henry. I think he has done a pretty strong job in the position that he's been. What I really admire about him is that he believes in conservation. He's been an incredible advocate for protecting the natural environment, particularly in the Lowcountry. But he's done it in a way that also leverages the private sector and, capitalism that he's been able to marry. And so, it's not an easy needle to thread, so to speak, but he's done a pretty good job. And so I appreciate his support and what he's been able to provide for the Lowcountry. And we'll be meeting with him next week, as a matter of fact. So we have a pretty regular communication, and that's critically important that local governments collaborate. We have constant interaction with the state, and I'll be going up to Washington week after next, meeting with our federal delegation, because a lot of these issues that we have, be it housing, be it flooding, be it roads, we need the state, we need the federal government, we need the county to be good partners. And so it's important to have those relationships.
What is he like?
I mean, he's what you see is what you get. I mean, there's no change in personality when the cameras turn off. So I think he's a very sincere and genuine person. I think similar to Charleston, South Carolina has a pretty deep stable of people that love this state, love where they're from, are very proud of where they're from. And I would certainly count Governor McMaster in that group.
What is your biggest wish for Charleston and the people of Charleston?
Again, I think as we grow, we not only protect what we know and love about this place, but we really enhance it. And, that may compound some of the growth, but what I say to people, when I meet people that have moved here, 5 months ago, 5 years ago, I feel like we're getting the brain drain from the rest of the country. I mean, especially post-COVID, it's really fascinating just how dynamic the people are that are moving here. And I really think that, again, I know people don't like the idea of growth, but when you complement the existing culture that is so deep and so profound with, these folks that are moving here, not because of it's cheaper or whatever the case may be, they're moving here because of who and what we are, and they love this place and invariably lean in as well. So it's kind of a special DNA that it infects everybody. And so when I look to the future and what I want to see in our city, I want to see more of that. And I think we're well on our way. But like I say, I've got plenty of work to do on keeping up with the growth. But the good news is that I feel there's a lot of low-hanging fruit to get us there.
When you leave office, what do you want people to say about you?
Wow. I would say that, look, I'm here to do what I think is the right thing for my community, that we've set a foundation for the next 100 years, that, he was sincere in his love of his hometown, right? And left it a better place. No question. That's what every, I guess, elected official's dream is. But, in this case, I feel like with the help of residents, we can do just that. So I'm very optimistic about our future. I'm not denying we have real challenges, but, every day it's an honor to sit here, and it's exciting. I mean, these things, these opportunities that we have, not just as a city, but as a region, it's really cool stuff. And you look at the rest of the country, and not to compare us to everywhere else, but there's a reason why people are moving here. I mean, there's just this place is special, and I want to make sure it remains such.
Well, comparing other cities to Charleston just isn't polite. Well, I only have one question that I think a politician would maybe find controversial. In Charleston, that is. What is your favorite restaurant?
Ooh, wow. That's
no comment.
One. Yeah, probably not comment on that one, though. I will say some of the best pizza I've ever had was at Tootie's up on Upper King Street. It's brand new, and it's the best pizza you'll ever eat.
I'll have to add that to the list, the ever-growing list. Well, I like to end my interviews very, very open-ended. So whoever's tuned in, Charleston, South Carolina, and beyond, what would you say to the folks who are joining us today?
I would say that, again, not to sound like the broken record, we live in a special place, but I say that when we talk about people that lean in, really, it's invariably true. Every once in a while, you do have folks that do stupid things, and so to the folks that bring their trucks out and like speeding around in 3 feet of water and spraying up wakes onto people's, like, we want people and residents to be respectful. I mean, Charleston is a place that is polite, and we expect politeness in return, right? So just, know that you're part of a broader community that has a very strong sense of civic pride, and we welcome all folks to come and visit and have fun, but we ask you to be responsible at the same time, right? We're doing our best. People live here. This is a living city. This is not a Disney World or here just for tourists. This is a place where kids go to school, etc. So, we just ask people, especially visitors, to make sure that, behave yourself, but come and spend some money.
Well put. Actually, one quick question before we go. I've put these labels on you, these historical labels. I've said, as I mentioned, that you're the 62nd mayor. You're also a former representative. One more quick question. How do you define William S. Cogswell at heart? Who is the guy?
I feel like maybe laying down on a sofa here. Look, I'm pretty transparent and open, and you ask me what I think about anything and you'll hear it. I'm somebody that likes to be grounded in reality. And when we look at an initiative or a plan, I want to know that it can be executed on. And again, there's so many different opportunities that are common sense. That's where we're putting our focus first. And, if people have questions or concerns, it's great to get their feedback because, it helps us make more informed decisions, right? But the one thing I'd say about my tenure here to date is we are making decisions. We are moving the ball forward. And I'm one of those folks that I don't want perfection to be the enemy of good, because there's a lot of good that's needed and can be accommodated for in pretty short order. So you'll also find, Paul, that I'm probably one of the most impatient people you'll ever meet. So that probably lends itself to what I just laid out.
Well, Mayor Cogswell, thank you so much. Thank you also to Alicia and Trace, and have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for sharing all your thoughts.
Yeah, enjoy the time with you, Paul.
All
Take
right.
care.
See you.
The Paul Leslie Hour is made possible by people like you, listeners, viewers. Please go to thepaulleslie.com/support, and you'll know what to do when you're there. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who contributes. Performance of The Entertainer intro song by John Primorano. And of course, this is your announcer speaking. See you next time on the Paul Leslie Hour.